Jorinda and Jorindel by the Brothers Grimm.
In a deep and shadowed forest, far from any town, stood an ancient castle. Within those dark walls lived an old fairy who possessed great power. By day she took the shape of an owl, flying silently between the trees. At times, she crept through the land disguised as a cat. But when night came, she became herself again. An old woman, pale and thin, with sharp eyes and a crooked smile. Any young man who wandered too close, within 100 paces of the castle, would freeze in place, unable to move until the fairy released him. Yet she freed him only if he swore never to return. But when a maiden stepped near, she suffered a crueler fate. The fairy transformed her into a small bird, locked her in a golden cage, and hung it high within her tower. 700 cages shimmered there, each holding a singing bird that had once been a girl. Among them might have been a maiden named Jorinda, for she was the fairest of them all. Her heart belonged to a gentle shepherd named Jorindel. They loved one another deeply, and soon they were to be married. One golden evening, they walked hand in hand through the forest, hoping for quiet moments alone beneath the fading light. "Let us not go too near the fairy's castle," said Jorindel softly. The last rays of the sun poured through the tall trunks and touched the green leaves with gold. From high above, the turtle doves sang their sweet evening song. Jorinda sat upon the soft moss to watch the sun sink low, while Jorindel rested beside her. A strange sadness filled their hearts. They could not tell why, but it felt as though they were to be parted forever. When they finally rose to go, they realized they had wandered far, and when they looked around, they could no longer tell which path led home. The sun was sinking fast. Half its circle was already hidden behind the hills. Jorindel looked behind him and his blood turned cold. Through the trees, he saw the shadowed walls of the old castle. Fear gripped him and he turned pale. "We must go," he whispered. But before they could move, Jorinda began to sing softly. The ring-dove sang from the willow spray. "Well-a-day, well-a-day." He mourned for the fate of his darling mate. "Well-a-day." Her gentle voice trembled, and then stopped. She was silent. Jorindel turned toward her, and in that instant, she was gone. Before him stood a small nightingale, fluttering her wings in fear. Her song ended in a soft, sorrowful cry. "Jug, jug." Above them, an owl with fiery eyes flew 3 times in a circle, crying out, "To who? To who?" Jorindel could not move. His body turned stiff as stone. The sun disappeared, and night fell upon the forest. The owl vanished into the shadows, and from the darkness came the old fairy herself. Her eyes glowed. Her nose and chin nearly touched. She muttered strange words, reached out her bony hand and seized the nightingale. Poor Jorindel could only watch as she walked away with the little bird in her grasp. At last, she returned and sang in a rough, cracking voice. "Till the prisoner is fast and her doom is cast. There stay, oh stay, when the charm is around her and the spell has bound her. Hie away, away." The moment she finished, Jorindel was released from his spell. He fell to his knees, begging her to give back his beloved. The fairy only laughed. "Never," she said, and vanished into the night. Jorindel wept and wandered through the woods until dawn. Heartbroken, he left his home and went to a distant village, where he became a shepherd. Each day he looked toward the forest, longing for a song he would never hear again. One night he dreamed of a radiant purple flower. At its heart gleamed a pearl brighter than the moon. In his dream, he plucked the flower, walked into the castle, and with its touch broke every spell, freeing his Jorinda. When he awoke, he remembered the dream clearly and set out to find the flower. For 8 long days he searched over hill and dale, On the 9th morning, as the first light touched the sky, he found it, a purple blossom, and in its center, a single drop of dew that glowed like a precious pearl. He gently picked it and began his journey toward the castle once more. When he drew near, he felt no magic holding him back. Step by step, he walked closer and closer still, until he stood before the great door. He touched it with the flower, and it opened silently. Inside, he heard the songs of countless birds, filling the halls with sweet, sad music. He entered the chamber where the fairy sat, surrounded by 700 cages. When she saw him, she shrieked with rage, but she could not approach. The power of the flower kept him safe. He looked around. So many birds, so many nightingales. How could he ever know which one was Jorinda? As he hesitated, the fairy took one cage and hurried toward the door. Jorindel followed quickly, touched the cage with the flower, and in an instant the nightingale vanished, and Jorinda stood before him once again, as beautiful as ever. She threw her arms around him, and tears of joy filled their eyes. Together they touched all the other cages. One by one, the birds returned to their human forms. The castle echoed with laughter and joy. The old fairy, powerless and furious, vanished forever. Jorindel took Jorinda home, and soon they were married. They lived in peace and love for many happy years. The end. You have listened to the story of Jorinda and Jorindel by the Brother Grimm.
If you want more stories like this, leave a follow or subscribe.